Last night, Don and I had an interesting discussion about how long do people really want to stay stopped at a supercharger when they're on a trip?
Right.
What's the right answer? And I think it's pretty obvious that one size doesn't fit all when it comes to the length of time you want to be at a supercharger and the number of supercharger stops that you even want to make when you're on a trip.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching News Coulomb, and he said we've got to stop talking about this 80% thing. And I agree with him mostly, but I would say that I believe Tesla is doing that. The one thing that he, being careful here, he appreciates Tesla, but he's basically, I don't think you could give him a Tesla. If you gave it to him, he would sell it and buy
another Bolt
or something, which is fine. I totally respect somebody who loves his car so much that there is no other car, but no problem. But where he was going was this percentage thing, the masses, this is what he's talking to us as knowledgeable EV people. He's not talking to the masses. He's talking about people who own or are knowledgeable of an electric vehicle. And so when he said, we got to stop talking about this, take 40 minutes to 80%, 30 minutes. I fundamentally agree with him, but he didn't acknowledge that Tesla has basically stopped doing that. Tesla now talks in the terms of miles. You can add 200 miles in 20 minutes. You can add 100 miles in as little as 5 minutes. I've heard recently, and so Tesla is trying to move away from this percentage thing. And Coulomb, he didn't touch on that at all. But what he was touching on is when you tell people you have to charge to 80% and it does it in 40 minutes or something like that, then they think, well, when I travel, every time I stop, I have to stop for 40 minutes. It's the same syndrome that cell phone people, they're coming, the only thing that they charge up regularly is their cell phone. And every day they charge it to 100%. That's just charge it up completely. I don't know that they consider it 100%. It says that, but what they're trying to say is they charge it up. He did touch on, but he didn't actually talk about from 80 to 100% is what takes all the time. And what we probably need to do is to make sure we communicate that to people. First of all, you do not charge to 100% on a trip ever.
Unless you can't make it to the next stop and you're out in the middle of nowhere, which is fastly becoming not a problem.
It's just yeah, it's just something you don't. Maybe you charge it home overnight and you leave with 100%, but along your intermediate stops, you're not going to charge 100%.
Right. Well, one of the things that came up yesterday is Don and I were talking if we were headed south down to his brother's house, our first stop would be Fayetteville.
Right.
So why would we charge because we would need to use the bathroom in the morning. We would drink coffee at the house
right.
or first thing when we got in the car. We wouldn't need to charge to 100%. We wouldn't even need 80% charge because we would be stopping at the supercharger down in Fayetteville no matter what to use the bathroom.
Right. And that's just, I know how I am traveling, and I always stop even with my full tank of gasoline. I end up having to stop somewhere long before I run out of gasoline just to take a leak, and that's just the way it is. I guess all I'm saying is Coulomb, he was correct. We probably need to stop talking, but he didn't hit on the big one. We need to start talking probably in how many miles you can add. He also failed once again to realize he was speaking from the single guy point of view of get it done as quick as I can. I'm getting from point A to point B. I'm going to get it done as absolutely quick as I can.
Honestly, that doesn't interest me too much.
I read I was going to comment. You said, well, why don't you leave the comment? Well, it's because other people had already left a lot of comments, positive comments. Nobody bashed him. But I have mentioned to him before, this single man thing. Well, one of the commenters said, he had found in traveling with his family, teenagers specifically, that the teenagers, not him, the driver, have decided they like longer legs and longer stops. Fewer stops, but longer. So that he said actually these 20-minute stops, he specifically said a 20-minute stop is really problematic because you don't have time to do anything and it's really too long to do nothing. And so, you know, either make it a 10-minute stop or make it a 30-minute stop. You know, this 20-minute thing for a family is problematic. So anyway,
right, I'm sure it's like herding cats, getting all the teenagers back in the car after 10 or come on, let's go. The car's ready, let's go. And that's not working for them.
Right, and then the other thing that I think at some point Coulon probably didn't pick up on is that, you know, where the charger is located to the freeway or the highway that the route you're taking. You know, Tesla has done a reasonably good job, but not all Tesla superchargers are within, let's just say, 5 minutes. I mean, they may be mileage-wise only 2 miles, but that's 15 traffic lights and 4 parking lots to get to, and it could take 15 minutes to go a couple miles. So I would say, you know, we still have, there is no perfect model yet. Everybody's going to kind of do it, but I do agree fundamentally thinking that how fast it charges to 80% ought to be how you pick your electric vehicle. I don't know that. I think that I agree with him that it's not it, and because charging at 80% is not something once you understand your car, you're not going to do.
Yeah, what you were trying to say there, I think, is the charge and go concept fails when the time off the interstate to the supercharger is an extended amount of time. There's 5 stoplights, 10 turns through the shopping center. Well, you've lost 10 minutes there. So that's the whole, I'm going to stop at more superchargers and quit charging when for Teslas, the charge rate falls off 80, 75, 80%, somewhere along in there, and I'm going to leave. Well, that sounds good in theory, but there's a couple, you know, the one up in Burlington, North Carolina, if you know how to get into it, you can get into it faster. Yeah. But if you follow the in-car nav, it's a process to get to the back of that mall to do the charging. The same thing is true in Charlotte. That is a meandering off the way. Now, a good one is that one in Greensboro that Johnny and I were to a couple weeks ago. Yeah. You get off, the Sheetz is basically one stoplight, it's right there. The one in Rocky Mount is easy to get to. So you kind of gotta use that supercharger review when you're thinking about it. If if you want to geek out on it and if you really care about the timing, which superchargers can I get to in one stoplight and 1 or 2 turns, and which ones do I have to work a little bit to get to? Because let me tell you, any efficiency you're gaining in time by, okay, the charge rate's dropped, I'm out of here, could be lost in a 10 or 15 minute wait leaving the interstate to get to that next charger where you thought you were going to do your next dash and go. And I think, you know, all we were trying to say is, you know, I know Mel from Talking Tesla, he wants a 500 or 600 mile range car. He doesn't ever want to have to charge.
And that makes sense.
There is that subset of people, and then there's the I want to get from point A to point B in the absolute fastest time, and I don't need to stop to use the bathroom very often, and I don't have a lot of needs. I don't have animals or family with me on the road. I'm gonna just go. I made one of those trips up to New Jersey one time where I only stopped once in DC for gas and to use the bathroom in the middle of the night and kept on going, so I get it. And then there's most of us, I think most of us, where we don't want to be hung up at the supercharger forever, but we don't mind stretching our legs, using the bathroom. We want a longish stop where we get lunch or dinner. You know, we're enjoying the ride. We're not in some race to get to where we're going. We know we've dedicated a day to travel along the East Coast, maybe 2 days to get to our destination, and we're just going to get in the car and stop and charge when we need to and be, you know, so you'll figure out when you get your car, just like you did with gas, what fits your family's needs. But there's lots of ways to do it, and none of them are wrong.
He did acknowledge that Tesla's trip computer is really good. You know, Tesla people have an advantage there. And I would say a common thread because I do watch a lot of YouTube videos on Tesla. Common thread is people are talking about, especially with Model 3s, that the cars done charging, or ready to continue the trip would be a better way to say it, before they are done with their little routine that they have at the supercharger. And so I think that Tesla's right now, especially people who are traveling now, they're getting ahead of the curve. I think Audi and I-Pace and maybe Chevy Bolt drivers down the road, they're gonna come up with this too, but maybe they don't have quite as many fast chargers. I mean, Tesla, certain routes along the way, I mean, you don't have one choice, you've got, you know, 5 choices.
Right. Well, that's one way to look at it too. We're past the point, I think, where it matters anymore. So you close, have the choice between I can dash and go and make it to the next charger,
right.
or I can skip a couple because my family wants to stay here at this restaurant, shopping facility, and I'm going to get up to, say, 94%, and then we're going to go. So I think with the Tesla network now, you're at the point where you've got a choice in most locations. I know of along Canada, they're working on adding superchargers across. Well, there's going to be, and there's a few places not,
always going to be that way.
You know, a lot of other places you've got choice now.
Yeah, well, I hope that they do come out with a CCS adapter for Tesla owners, and for the U.S. I know they've come out with it for Europe, but for the U.S. because what you could do then, you could probably still use the superchargers. But in case you've miscalculated, got caught by the weather, something happened, and you get a little range anxiety, you could whip off at an Electrify America charger, use the adapter, be there 10 minutes, and go and get you to the next supercharger or whatever. It would give you that ability, just like on the interstate, you may have your favorite service station is Shell or BP or whatever, but you know, you try to go from one to the next because you know you like that gas or whatever, but sometimes you buy at Pilot because I was out of gas and that's where I needed a station. So you know, it's still a few years away from that, but it's coming.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a little distraction there in the background. Sorry, but I know one of the videos Don was watching, News Coolum make. He basically implied that, oh my God, all these Tesla people are going to get this CCS adapter, and other people will never be able to use the Electrify America or other, because it'll be full of Tesla people. You know what?
That's an exaggeration. We're exaggerating, but he didn't quite say that. But that's what he was implying.
Right. That was my interpretation of what he said. I agree. That was not exactly what he said, but he spent a few minutes talking about it. At any point, let me assure you that is not ever going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so much more convenient to pull into the supercharger and just plug in and you're done. Boom, the supercharging network knows your car. And Tesla, if you don't have, we happen to have free supercharging, so we don't even have to go look at our account, but otherwise you just have given Tesla a Visa card and it talks to the car and it knows, and you don't have to worry about paying for anything and getting a credit card to work or getting a near field communications to work with a card on the ChargePoint network or any of that other stuff. So there is no way I'm going to give up that level of convenience to choose to go to ChargePoint or Electrify America with my Tesla unless, like you said,
you get caught short.
I get caught short. So would I want to have the adapter in my car and have signed up for those other networks so that I can use them as easily as possible if I need to? Yes. Am I going to be choosing to use them instead of Tesla? No. And I think even if we need to see a comparison video, but I think even if you pay for supercharging, you're still going to be paying less than you would pay if you went to ChargePoint, Electrify America, EVgo, or one of those other places. I think Tesla's electricity, Tesla is not trying to operate the supercharger network as a profit center just to pay for it, whereas those other companies are trying to obviously make a profit. So again, there's multiple reasons there why the end of the world is not coming to Electrify America, because Tesla drivers will be stopping. No. Thanks, buddy.
Welcome, Mom.
We're all loaded up with our bags for Whole Foods. Unfortunately, Johnny and I are solo today. One of Michelle's kids has a doctor's appointment. She should be back with us next week, although next week Johnny has driver's ed, so he won't be with us. So Johnny found this huge 8-wheeler today that he's pretty excited about. Johnny's doing the patient thing while Mom finishes up her shopping. Are you comfy? I think Connor will be pleased to receive this. I found this great jewelry box for Michelle. It's very substantial. And I got this butterfly necklace. The radar and there's nothing on it. We are expecting storms this afternoon. The humidity, it's thick out there. I mean, it's that southern total thick. So got to keep an eye to the sky today. We may get wet. What I really just want to make sure is we don't get any hail. Johnny and I decided just to take home Chinese takeout today and not to eat lunch out. Hopefully when we get to Whole Foods, the farm order will be there. We won't be too early. I'm just, I guess, trying to make sure we get home today before those storms hit. I don't need these, but this would be a really good deal for somebody. So far, so good on the radar. And we saw a nice red Lamborghini as we were entering. He was leaving. Very cute rooster, and of course the pig we've seen before, and today they have Nemo. I have my favorite efficient helper today. Thanks, buddy. I parked here at the library and Johnny has got in to pick up what I think is book number 4 in the Gone series. He's been waiting for it for several days, so I'm glad that they got it over here. Probably when I get home I need to go ahead and request book 5 because you know, it takes them several days if the book is not at this library to move it over here. And, you know, when you're really excited about a book, you want to read the book. So, there's rain along I-95 east of us, and there's rain north of Durham and Chapel Hill and in the mountains, but there's no rain in the center of the state. So, but, you know, hey, I'll take it because A, right now we're not behind, and B, I didn't need to, you know, be worrying about severe risk today. So, we're going to get home a little early, but since we didn't eat lunch and we've got Chinese takeout from the place next to Guardian Angel Apex, that's a good thing. We'll just eat a little early tonight. Hey, Donnie. How are you?
Doing good. You?
Yeah, we're good.
Did you have fun?
Yep.
Good.
Hey, Donnie.
Hey, pretty girl.
We got Kung Pao,
Ah.
Hunan, and sesame chicken.
Yum.